Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Crown by Nancy Bilyeu. In The Crown by Nancy Bilyeu, we follow Dominican nun Joanna Stafford, who breaks the rules of enclosure to attend the execution of her cousin. Joanna, alongside her father, is arrested and imprisoned in the Tower of London after it appears she is trying to save her cousin from death. Joanna is approached by the powerful Bishop of Winchester, Stephen Gardiner, who forces Joanna to spy for him if she wishes the freedom of herself and her father. The mission? Find the crown worn by the Saxon king Athelstan. Bishop Gardiner believes this crown so powerful that it will end the Reformation. Joanna returns to her priory with the assistance of two friars who will help her discover the whereabouts of this crown, and together they will discover what makes this crown so special and how it might stop King Henry VIII from destroying their spiritual way of life. So, I ended up really enjoying this book, yeah, guys. It's just one of those books that's, I think, just really fun more than anything. I think you kind of feel like you're learning a wee bit of something along the way. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Really fun, really suspenseful in places, a great mystery. And yeah, it's not the type of book that's like loaded with all sorts of action. It is very heavy on like, characters doing a lot of talking and searching more than anything, you know? I mean, it follows a nun, for crying out loud. You don't expect this nun to be all wild and crazy and kicking ass, you know? So yeah, it's not that type of book. It is. It's definitely, thought-provoking and, really digging into the history of the time, religion of the time, and whatnot. And yeah, this book, it's almost rather, I think you can compare it to something like Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code. If that makes any sort of sense. Not totally the same because, Dan Brown's books are very action-packed while delivering, some interesting tidbits of history and religion and, conspiracies and tying things together, And this book is almost kind of still, it's kind of similar to something you would see in Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, if you will. And I think this book had a really great introduction, a great middle, a great ending. From the very beginning, it's already very suspenseful because Dominican nun Joanna Stafford, like I said, she's a nun. She's supposed to stay confined at her priory, but she breaks the rule of enclosure because she finds out that her cousin is about to get executed for treason and whatnot, and she wants to be there for her cousin. So she heads, into the city away from her priory to go be with her cousin in her time of need, essentially. And yeah, kind of through a series of events, Joanna, alongside her father, they both wind up imprisoned in the Tower of London. And Joanna, afraid for her life and knowing what's been going on, here during the reign of King Henry VIII, the Catholics essentially being killed, the claims of heresy and whatnot, because this is the height of the Reformation, pretty much, and you have Catholicism and the Protestants and whatnot, and yes, it's not good to be a Catholic right here. So you have the very suspenseful intro with Joanna's imprisonment in the Tower of London. How is she going to get out of this situation? And yeah, in comes the Bishop of Winchester, who at this time was a very powerful man. And yeah, he's like, hey, Joanna Stafford, if you want to save your life, save your father's life, I want you to go on this mission. I need you to find this legendary magical crown that could possibly end the Reformation, and we can return to our our existence, our spiritual way of life and whatnot. And yeah, this crown, it kind of goes back hundreds of years to the Saxon kings, to one of the last Saxon kings, King Athelstan and whatnot. So yeah, we're dragging up like history from way back and whatnot. And I loved a lot of the history presented in this book. I'm very, very familiar with the reign and the era, if you will, of the Tudors. I know quite a lot about the Tudors. I know way more about the Tudors than I know my own American history, you guys. there's a lot about the Tudors and, you know, the Reformation I'm already very familiar with. So I liked what this book was doing, you know, going back even farther than that. Yeah, like I said, we're going back to the to King Athelstan, who was a Saxon king, and yeah, this apparently legendary crown that Bishop Gardner thinks could end the Reformation and whatnot, and that this crown has kind of passed through the ages. You know, before we get here to King Henry VIII, we get history involving Richard the Lionheart. We get history involving King Edward III and his son, the Black Prince, and then yet even some stuff dealing with King Henry VIII's own brother, Prince Arthur, and whatnot. So yeah, this crown has some sort of connection to all of these figures, and there appears to be something kind of supernatural going on, you know, or is there? Who knows, you know? So I loved what was going on in this book. A lot of that suspense, a lot of that build up, and yeah, what the hell is this crown? Is it for real? Is it just myth and legend, you know? And in author Nancy Bilyeu's, her author acknowledgments, she states that she initially started this book like back in 2005. It wasn't even published until 2012. And I think you can tell that she took her time with that research. You know, like this book wasn't just tossed together with facts and figures, you know, just for the hell of it, you know. To me personally, I felt like you could see her detailed research, you know, that she put a lot of time and effort in the research to try to make things work, you know, because this is the type of book, if one little detail is not working, it's going to kind of throw off the whole book, and it's going to throw off your whole experience as the reader as well, especially if you are a lot more familiar with the time period, you know. So I really bought into the research she did, the history that she was bringing in and folding and weaving into Joanna's story, and yeah, how this crown works into everything, how it might possibly end the Reformation. The thing is, this book is probably not going to be for everybody. Let me make that clear. This book is probably not going to be for everybody, even if you are someone who loves historical fiction. This is a certain type of historical fiction, you know, just depending on your individual taste in regards to historical fiction, you know. This book is definitely more of a slow burn when it comes to the historical fiction genre, and I do mean a slow burn, because things are very suspenseful and interesting as you're going through the book, but at the same time, things are kind of slow as you're getting information. As you, the reader, are getting information, Joanna, your character, main protagonist, she's getting information kind of at the same time as you are. So it provides for a very slow burn narrative, because Nancy Bilyeu, the plot that she is giving you, the plot is very meticulous. I feel like it's very meticulous, and you have to really get from point A to point B to point C, you know. There's no kind of like jumping around or anything, and you have to go in this very fine line to kind of get to the points of what is going on in this narrative exactly. So this book can kind of feel and read like a slow burn at times, until you do kind of get, like I said, until you do get to the point, you know, the aha moment of the book, and things do start clicking and things do start moving a bit more at a rapid pace and whatnot. And for some readers, that might come across as, you know, too slow. It might come across as boring. But yeah, for me, I mean, I was having a pleasant time with it, you know, even though it could have that slowness to it at times. The thing is, it was the type of slowness that I was enjoying, you know, if that makes sense. I wasn't particularly ever bored by anything. I was pretty much thoroughly engaged with the book from start to finish, and I really loved the characters and Nancy Bilyeu's, you know, her look and her perspective at this really critical point in, you know, the Tudor monarchy during the Reformation and whatnot. And I loved the character of Joanna Stafford. As I mentioned, she's a Dominican nun. She's a young woman, and yeah, what has led her to this decision to become a nun exactly? That's kind of the big arc of her character, you know, of her I think finally becoming comfortable with the choices she has made, why she has become a nun. Yeah, is she going to remain a nun and whatnot? It's a big character story for her, her journey. She's very incredibly devoted to her faith, but despite being devoted, she does still face temptation and sin on occasion, you know, that she feels bad about, and she tries to comprehend within herself and whatnot, you know. So yeah, she's not like totally perfect or anything. She does have her flawed moments. And joining Joanna on her journey as she's trying to, you know, find this apparently magical crown or whatever, she is joined by two friars, one of which, his name is Brother Edmund, and of course, you know, Joanna being a hot young nun, you gotta have a hot young friar, Brother Edmund. I love the relationship between Joanna and Edmund. It's like they're both very devoted to their faith. They both have their own temptations, their own demons that they have to deal with, and they can be at odds with one another. They have kind of varying opinions on certain things when it comes to this magical crown and the Reformation and whatnot. But they still really believe in this spiritual existence that they have. You know, that's kind of what really ties them, is the spiritual existence that they have, and they don't want their way of life to be destroyed by, you know, King Henry VIII and whatnot. So yeah, overall, an enjoyable piece of Tudor historical fiction, if that's your sort of thing. Like I said, it might not be for everybody, because it can read as a bit of a slow burn, but once it kind of reaches a certain point in this book, it's like, oh, okay, and it kind of goes off from there. Yeah, I love the history, not just the Tudor history, but yeah, bringing in the, you know, further back English history and whatnot, going as far back as the Saxon period and whatnot. Yeah, bringing in religious elements, bringing in this mystical crown that might help save the world or something. Yeah, just lots of great things going on in this book. Lots of great characters, interesting plot and story and whatnot. And this is just the first book in a trilogy, apparently. The thing is, though, the way this book ends, it ends like a standalone, pretty much. Like, if you're not interested in reading more books from this, if you're just only interested in this book, you could just read this book and you're good. There's no cliffhangers. There's nothing that I don't particularly think will carry over into the next books, you know. So yeah, this definitely can read on its own, which is a good thing. But either way, I would still, at some point in the future, I would love to read the other books in this series and, you know, continue with Sister Joanna and see how her life continues into the future. So you guys, that is it for my review of The Crown by Nancy Bilyeu. In the comments below, have you guys read this book? Do you plan on reading it? Yeah, just let me know your thoughts, whether you loved it or hated it. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.